Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Ehrman. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ClubExpress, and we're very, very happy to be partnering with the League of Women Voters to provide local leagues and state organizations with the ClubExpress platform. I'm going to do a couple of housekeeping things and then we'll jump right in. The presentation will take about 50 minutes and then we'll certainly have some time for questions at the end. All phones should be muted. If you have any questions, please enter them into the chat window. We have a number of ClubExpress folks that are participating and online, and I wanted to introduce them briefly. Alan is our chief evangelist and is responsible for managing the technology behind our webinars. He does a lot of our video tutorials and also works on community and our discussion forums, things like that. Also, Samantha is our director of content, and she works on the online help system, which I'll show you in a little while. Also works on video tutorials, social networking, and does a lot of our training. Jim Mischke is also on the call. Jim is the account manager for the League of Women Voters. So if any of you have questions afterwards, Jim will be the person to contact, and he can answer those questions and help you get set up or create free trials, things like that. And Jim and Alan and Sam will be answering questions in the chat window as we go along. Now, this webinar is a repeat of one that we did yesterday, late afternoon, specifically focused on state organizations. We also did a webinar yesterday and then repeated today on ClubExpress for local leagues. And then the recordings will be posted on the clubexpress.com Cool Stuff page and also on our YouTube channel, which is clubexpress.com. Okay, so a little bit of background just very quickly. ClubExpress was founded in 2003 and we went live in March of 2004. We're currently running our 58th major release and we're working on the next release as well. So the platform is proven, secure, reliable, high-performing, all of the things that you'd expect from a powerful association management software platform. We have thousands of clubs and associations in the US and around the world. Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, for example, running on the platform. We're actually based in the Chicago suburbs, Schaumburg, Illinois. And of course, because of the current situation, we're all working out of our homes. So ClubExpress is a complete association management software platform known as an AMS. And for a local league or a state organization, think of it as the complete front office and back office for the organization. So for the front office, we have a website with areas for the public. Members can log in, and then there are areas of the website for members only. And I'll show you how all of that works, and I'll show you some of the tools we provide to allow you to update and maintain that website. And then for administrators and coordinators for the back office, there's a whole section of the website which allows you to do database management, specifically to manage the members in your organization, and the non-members as well, your non-member contact lists. And we'll talk about what that means in a moment. The event calendar with online registration, payment processing, a credit card merchant account is built into the website. And we'll talk about that as well. And also a blast email function. So if any of you right now are using Constant Contact or MailChimp or something like that, you don't need to use that. You'll be able to do blast emails to everybody in the state. We'll talk about how that works also a bit later on. And it's also fully integrated with all of the different parts of ClubExpress. In the previous webinars we've done earlier today and yesterday, there are a number of questions in the chat window about how ClubExpress relates to the Salesforce, to the national database. The national office, they are going to continue using their Salesforce database. But as I'll show you, we're going to be integrating with the Salesforce database so that the information on members that's entered at the local level and at the state level will automatically be updated in the national database on a nightly basis. So that database will now have current information instead of having to wait till the end of the year in January when you often do your updates. We are running a number of leagues already. Our launch customer was actually in Colorado. We started running a couple of local leagues in Colorado, and then the state got interested. We now run the state website, and I can show that to you very quickly. Here is the League of Women Voters in Colorado, and we'll look at this website in a bit more detail later on. And here it is. Really a very, very nice website with a lot of detail. And basically now all of the local leagues in Colorado run on ClubExpress. We're also running about a dozen other local leagues around the country in Florida, Texas, Arizona. We have about half a dozen local leagues in the process of getting set up. And we're talking to at least 2 states, Indiana and Alabama, about bringing the whole state on board all at once. So very much established. And as I said, we have a formal partnership with the League of Women Voters to really get ClubExpress into as many local leagues and state organizations as possible. And I'll show you some of the reasons why right now. So we start out with a public website, and we give you all of the tools necessary to build and maintain the website, whether you're at the local level or at the state level, including the home page and as many custom web pages as you need, and as many photo albums as you need as well. So let's have a quick look at that. We actually have a demo website, not a real local league, that we created and we've attached to Colorado with their very kind permission. So here is a website. Here's the public side of the website, and you can scroll down. You can see if you have a Twitter feed, you can put that on the website. You have an upcoming event widget, and you've got photos and layouts. We can also display custom web pages with links and images and formatting. We just borrowed this page from another league website. Same with this one, a legislative letter. So all of the tools that you need to build these pages and maintain them are built into ClubExpress. Now the platform also has 22 modules that are built in. You don't have to use any of them, or you can use whichever ones you want. You enable them, you configure them, and you just use them. And they include an event calendar that's powerful enough to manage both a lunchtime lecture, but also a 2-day state level convention, or even a regional convention with side activities and optional spouse activities and things like that. A committees module, a document library, a donations module, and at the state level, a find a local league module. So let me show you those. So when I go to resources, for example, I can click on documents, and this is our document library module. You can create as many folders and subfolders as you need. And when I click on a folder, it shows me the documents in that folder. I can click on a document and see the details, and I can download it as well. The event calendar looks like this. It has a grid view, it has a list view. We've created an event here. This happens to be an event that was created for a local league, and we're on the local league right now. And so you can see the details of that event. You can actually create a fully formatted description with a photo of your guest speaker or your panelists. All of that's certainly possible. Now, if I go over to the state level website, the first thing that I can do is look at this Find a Local League module. So here is the local league module, and you can see all of the local leagues within Colorado. And I can click on this one down here, which is our Not a Real League. And when I click on it, it shows me the details of this one, and I can jump over to the website right here. And the same with every one of these. I mean, I can pick any one of these. This happens to be Denver, and there's the Denver website, or jump to their event calendar and all of the contact details for them. I can also go, for example, here is the event calendar for Colorado. And if you'll notice, our event, which we created at the local league level, also appears on the state level calendar. So for example, when a local league is having a committee meeting, that doesn't need to appear on the state calendar. But when you have an event that might be of interest to the wider community or league members around the state, they can check a box and that event will appear on the local calendar. Similarly, at the state level, the state can create an event and check a box, and that event would then appear on the calendars for all of the local leagues linked to the state. And it's just a simple checkbox, and it just works. On the public side of the website, there is a module that allows members to sign up and actually join. Now, typically that will happen at the local league level, but many state organizations have at-large members who live in areas where there is no local league, and so certainly that's fully supported. There's also an add me to your mailing list function so that people who are interested in what the league is doing at the state level can be added to the mailing list, and you can send them blast emails. Fully integrate with your Facebook and Twitter feeds, and everything is always done in secure mode. Now, members have their own username and password, and local league members can log in both to their local league and to the state website. And of course, members at large would log in at the state level only. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to go to our demo website, and I'm going to log in as B. Williams, and here is the password. And I've logged in as Betty Williams on the local league website. And you can have a whole separate set of content or some of the same content on the members side of the website. You might have pages that are for members only, documents or photo libraries that are for members only, and then you have this separate section that's for the public. I can also go over to the state level website, and if I click member login and log in as Betty Williams, she's now logged into the state website as well. So at the state level, if you're using the discussion forums module, everybody around the state can participate. If you have committees and the members of the committee belong to different local leagues, they can also log in to the state website to participate in committees. If they have to register for events as league members, they can do that because they can log into the state website as members in order to register for events. So we really tightly integrate the local leagues with the state website and for all of the functions that are available there. I'm going to log out of the local league website and log in as a different user. And I've logged in this time as Martha Smith because I wanted to show you the profile that we have. So here is Martha, and she clicks on her profile. Every member gets the ability to update and maintain their own information. This doesn't need to be done by a membership volunteer anymore. So members can log in, they can update their general contact information. You can have a primary address and optionally a secondary address. You can turn that off if you want. And it's sensitive to your local time zone. Here is the other contact information, mobile phone number, email address. And then you can optionally enable work information as well. If you don't want to collect work information, you can turn that off. And this works exactly the same way, whether someone's in a local league or they're an at-large member or a staff member who is attached to the state level website. Now, every organization that we work with has questions that they want to ask of their members that are unique to that organization. And we support that using a feature called additional member data. You can create as many questions as you need, and the answers can be in any one of about 25 different formats. So in this case, we've created 2 questions. The first one is what we call a select list question. It's a drop-down list. You specify the values, you can make it optional or required, and members select an answer. This one is an integer question, and you can specify the limits, say anywhere between 1 and 80. How many years have you lived in the community? And using this technique as a local league or as for at-large members, you can collect information that might be important to the local league or to the state organization. We also have a directory module, and if you want to use that, typically it's on the members side of the website. So for example, I can click the directory here, do a search. So here are a number of members, and a member can click on the member's name and jump over to what we call the bio screen, where you can see information about members, biography, any interest groups that they belong to. So these are, this is an internal directory, so members can look each other up. Now, members can also obviously update all of the information in the directory, their visibility. Here is where they enter their biography information, and here is where they upload a photo. Now, ClubExpress also maintains a complete history of everything that the member has done through the website and with the organization. So we have a transaction history that shows every transaction that the member has done. This is a membership renewal. Here's a donation. And of course, members can view the details and print their own receipts. So the treasurer no longer needs to worry about printing, tax receipts, for example. Members can now do a lot of that themselves. And of course, this can also all be done on the local website or on the state level website. Over here is where the member updates their username and password. They can register for interest groups. And that's the profile screen. So we looked at all of that information. Let's keep going. So the third area of the website is for administrators and coordinators. We have multiple levels of security built in, and Martha happens to be a full administrator. So we have a couple of extra choices that appeared right here. And if I go to the control panel, this is the administrative back end of the platform. And there are 5 tabs here. And then the support tab is a little bit different, so I'll explain that to you in a moment. And you can create a level of security where people only have access to 1 or 2 of these choices. Now, the member manager is where you manage the actual members who are attached to the state level. And I'll show you how that works between state and local league members. The non-member database is where you manage everybody else. And we'll look at a couple of those in a moment. Here are the things that you do on a regular basis. And down here are some of these modules. There's a couple of different ways of accessing these modules. And this might actually be a good time to show you how modules work. So if I go to the donations module, for example, here is where you can create multiple funds. So in this case, we have an education fund. You might have 2 or 3 other funds. Here are the details, and I can click donate. And here is where you enter the details of the contribution, the amount. Contribution can be in honor of, for example, various other details. Do you want somebody to be notified? Does the company that somebody worked for do matching gifts? And then there's a whole matching gift panel that's available as well. So somebody fills out this form, and then they click proceed to payment, and they can pay online securely by credit card, or PayPal if you have that enabled, or they can print an invoice to mail a check. Now, every one of these modules has a user side, but it also has an admin side. And one way of getting to the admin side is to click this edit link here, which would only be here for an administrator. Or you can go to the control panel and click on the pencil or edit icon for the donations module. And so the donations module has a number of buttons across the top. You can add a fund, for example. Let's say the voter registration fund. I can specify a description. And then we've got a whole bunch of other properties here that are available for you to configure. Do you want to suggest an amount? Is there a goal? Do you want to show the goal? All of those sort of things. And once you've done that, the fund is actually created. So let's click on cancel. I can also click on this icon here that shows me a list of donations that were made to the fund. Now keep in mind that this module could be on the non-member, on the public side of the website, so that you can actually collect donations from the public. You might have dozens of donations here, and so we have a filter panel that allows you to see the different donations and filter them in different ways. In this case, Martha made a donation, $25. It was paid in full. And so here, basically, you're drilling in and seeing the details of what was donated to that fund. The basic concept of modules is that they're there. You enable them, you configure them if you want to use them, and then you just put them on the website and you use them. There's no programming involved whatsoever. And as I said, there's 22 plus modules built into the platform. So when I scroll down on the control panel, ClubExpress has more than 400 reports built in. Each of the reports has filtering and output options. We also have about 50 data exports. So these are reports related to people. They're members and non-member reports. Further down, we have the setup section, and I'll show you a couple of examples here in just a moment, where you can define whatever member types you need and also define how the system will handle renewals and expirations. Now, when I go to the website tab, I see all of the options that allow me to configure and build out the website itself, including the homepage, custom web pages, photo albums. We could look at the photo album module. We see an album right here, and we pop up and we can see all the photos in the album. And after a few seconds, it goes into slideshow mode. And members can even optionally download the high-res versions of these photos. And then also a report section and a setup section as well. And here's where you customize the look and feel of the website. You can change the menus and various other options. The Money tab is where you manage transactions, payments, credits. We'll talk about all of those in a moment. Bank accounts, some modules that involve money, and again, financial reports and the financial setup. And the League tab is the organization as a whole. And the Communications tab is where you'll find everything related to how you communicate with members and with the general public. So we have blast emailings here. We have forums. We have a news and articles module, surveys and ad hoc forms that you can create. Now, the Support tab is a little bit different. The Support tab lists all of our support resources, including our online help system. And whenever you see this icon up in the top right-hand corner, that's the icon that takes you into our online help system. And I introduced Samantha a little bit earlier. She's the one who maintains this system. So for example, we can click on the People tab, and I can see the member manager, and I could click on that. And I can see all the information about the member manager. I can click on an image and display it larger. Every one of these major sections can also be downloaded as a manual. And so that's this option right here. And we have video tutorials and webinars for almost all of these sections. And if you click here, we jump over to our YouTube channel so that you can see the training videos. The manuals and the video tutorials are also available here as well. So we could click here and see all of those videos. And then finally, our contact information. And this is probably a good time to mention that when you sign up with ClubExpress, the monthly fee that we charge you includes unlimited toll-free support for both admins and members. If a member has a problem logging in or renewing their membership or registering for an event or changing their password or making a payment, they can call our support team in Chicago and we will help them. So we've talked about the admin setup functions, I mentioned reports, and I mentioned the support resources. So let's talk about databases. So there is a member database securely built in behind the scenes. And for a state organization, it will show you and allow you to manage those people who are attached to the state. So specifically at-large members, or potentially local leagues that are not yet, hopefully, not yet running on ClubExpress. If you want to have access to the members of local leagues that are running on ClubExpress, there is a screen which gives you access to the read-only database for those members. And I'll show you that in just a moment. There's also the non-member mailing list that everybody else you need to keep in contact with. So it's not only donors and event attendees, it could also be state and local office holders, the folks involved in the Democratic Party at the state and local levels, the Republican Party, the Greens and the Libertarians, whatever. It could also be all of the state and county officials that are responsible for election voting sites and the voting equipment, and the press as well. All of those are people you might want to keep in your database so that you can stay in contact with them, and the non-member database supports that. So let's have a quick look at that. When I go to the People tab and the Member Manager, this is the actual membership database. In this case, it's a local league, but it would be the actual membership database for the state, for those people that are actually in the state database. And we've got a number of filtering options here, and then you can actually see the membership database down here. You can click on someone's city and state and see their contact information. You can see their member type and their member status. An active member is someone who's paid up. An expired member is someone who hasn't renewed. ClubExpress also supports household memberships that include multiple people. So we have a primary member, and then we might have secondary members that are part of the membership. The expiration date, and then various icons that we have over here that allow you to edit member information, to assign them to categories, to view the bio, process renewals if you need to. Here is someone who owes money, so we can click on the $ icon. And when a member comes to the payment page, she would basically see 2 or 3 options. Pay online securely by credit card, print an invoice and mail a check, or if you have PayPal enabled, they'd see a PayPal option as well. Martha happens to be an administrator, so she sees some additional options to be able to process different kinds of payments or do write-offs or comps. Okay, let's go back to the control panel. Now, at the state level, if you want to see the information for members who belong to local leagues, you go to the Quick Member Lookup screen. And the Quick Member Lookup screen is similar to the Member Manager, but it's read-only. And that's an important point, because in the League of Women Voters model, members belong to a local league. So the state really doesn't have the right to edit that information. So we give you this lookup screen, which is essentially read-only. So I can click, for example, here on Martha Smith, and I'll see the contact information. I can click here to send someone an email. I can see some basic details about their membership, but I only have a couple of icons here. One of them is for our contact log module, which is a special module that we have that gives you CRM functions. And I should note that there is an additional charge for this module, but if you enable it at the state level, then all of the local leagues get access to it as well. And then this category function here. So the state, for example, could assign Mary, let's say Mary is not only a member of a local league, she's also actually works for the local newspaper. So you could assign Mary to the press category, and you can create whatever categories you need. So whenever you send out a blast email to everybody in the press category, you'll know that Mary will get that email. So the Quick Member Lookup function really works very nicely at the state level to give you read-only access to all of the members of local leagues that are part of the state. Now we go down to the non-member database, and this one is very similar. And again, as I said, it's everybody who you want to keep track of who's not a member. Same thing here. We can click on this to get their contact information. We can edit their information. We can assign them to categories. Bob is also a member of the press, for example. And you'll notice that all of these histories, transaction, payment, event, volunteering, all of those are maintained at the non-member level as well. And the same rules apply if you have a non-member who's assigned to a local league, then you would have read-only access to that information. Now, when we go down to the setup section, here under member types is where you can configure the member types that apply at the state level, and we will map those automatically to the 4 standard member types that are recognized by the national office. But if you want to create sustaining members or gold members or 2 or 3 year memberships, you can certainly do all of that right here. And we could jump in very quickly. Every member type has a name, a description, a duration, various other properties. Here is where you define household members who have their own login and password, and they're part of a primary member's membership. If we go to the renewal and expiration settings screen, this is one of my favorite screens in the system because it's a screen that you can go through and configure in about 2 minutes. And once you've done that, the platform will now handle all of the renewals and expirations for you for those members who are attached at the state level. Now, most leagues and states that are switching to ClubExpress are switching to rolling renewals. Instead of doing everybody renewing on July the 1st or January the 1st and having to deal with proration and things like that, they're switching to do rolling renewals. We're updating that information in the national database in real time, and National is also getting paid their fee for each membership. We'll talk about that in a moment. And so PMP really now becomes a process that happens at the end of January purely for voting purposes. It's not necessary to do the calculation for members and payments that would get done in February, for example. All of that will now happen in real time. And in fact, my understanding is that in the long term, the national office is planning on moving to rolling renewals for everyone. And basically, if you have a local league that's not running on ClubExpress, you would potentially get a monthly invoice that shows how much you owe for the members who signed up or renewed their memberships. We go down here and configure the renewal notices. You can have up to 3 renewal notices. You can customize them and control when they get sent out. Here is where you configure expirations. When does the membership expire? And after that, ClubExpress handles everything for you. Let's talk about money for a moment. ClubExpress was built using proper accounting principles. When somebody signs up or renews their membership, when they make a donation or they register for an event for which there's a fee, that becomes a transaction. They go to the payment page, they make a payment. One payment could include 2 or 3 transactions. If an event is cancelled, you can issue a credit to the member. Now, there is a merchant processing account built in. What would appear on cardholder statements would be something like LWV Utah, for example. And the way it works is that the funds that people do through the website flow to us. They flow to ClubExpress. And we keep them in a special bank account. That money's segmented from any other funds. And then every 10 days, on the 10th, the 20th, and the last business day of the month, we flow that money directly into your bank account. And many organizations have multiple bank accounts. So for example, if the state convention every year has its own bank account, we can flow the money to that account. Now for local leagues, when we do that for them, the state will be configured so that the portion of the local league funds that goes to the state organization will be flowed directly to the state. And the portion that goes to the national office will flow directly into a national bank account. The credit card fees for that processing, we pass those through to you at cost. And each bank account that receives the money pays their portion of those credit card fees. So you don't have to worry that at the state level, you're paying the credit card fees on the portion that's going up to the national office. They're paying those fees. So when the money flows through us, we have the ability to distribute it for you automatically. Now you also have the ability to set up your own merchant account, and there the money would flow directly into that account every day. But then of course we can't distribute it for you. And you also have the option of setting up PayPal. And if the money flows there, again, we don't have the ability to distribute that money for you because it's not going through us. ClubExpress is a special kind of merchant processor called a payment facilitator, in that we facilitate payments on behalf of other organizations. We also integrate with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. So ClubExpress is not a full accounting system. If you want to do the full accounting, we use QuickBooks. And I should mention that there is an additional one-time fee for QuickBooks of $100 just to set that up. So for communications, we have this very powerful blast emailing function that I'll show you. It allows you to create templates and complex distribution lists. You can track who opens the messages. You can personalize the messages. And most importantly, at the state level, you send out emails, and you're sending those emails to everybody in the state, including all of the local leagues that are part of the hierarchy and running on ClubExpress. Now, we are fully compliant with the spam laws, including the opt-out, and we'll handle bad email addresses for you. I should mention we also have a text messaging option, but there are additional fees for that because we have to work through another company that has the interchange agreements with Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint. So let's have a quick look at the blast emailing function. I go to communications and I click on emailing. And we have a draft email that I've created here. So when I click on that, let's have a quick look at that emailing. I can edit the basic information. And this is who the email is coming from, when do you want to send it, the subject, do you want to track who opens the email, for example. I can also create and manage complex distribution lists. So we can use a saved list, or we can create our own list. And here's where it gets really interesting, and this is something that Constant Contact and MailChimp can't offer you. We actually interface with all of the other parts of ClubExpress. So for example, everyone who donated money into a specific donation fund. Let's scroll down a bit further. Everyone who's in an interest group, everyone who's in a specific committee, or members or non-members in a selected category. And then you can actually select from the list of categories that you have. So you'll notice here we have interested persons and we have press. And what happens when you send out the email is that we'll dynamically pick up all of the people who are in these categories and send the email to those people. And then we come down here and you can see the actual email that we're building. Get rid of that section. I can, take a new section, for example. I can drag this in right here and drop it in, and then I can edit the sections. If I'm editing an image panel, I can insert a photo or an image and resize it, modify all the properties. We have templates that are built in, and you can also create and save your own templates. You drag the template in, you fill in the content, you send it out. And down here at the bottom, here is where you save the template. You can send test emails, make sure everything looks good, and then click ready for delivery when you're ready to send the email out. So pricing. Let's start with setup. And in order to look at that, I'm going to go over to our main website. This is the main ClubExpress website, and I'm going to click on pricing. Now, first of all, as a league member, you can ignore the first panel, monthly hosting fee. You can ignore this calculator. It's for our regular customers. We have special pricing for the league. But when we look at the one-time setup fee, the basic setup fee is $150, and that includes support during the setup process and importing your member and non-member databases for you. Now, we also have a number of setup pack options that cost more, but we'll give you an example of what they include, because our implementation team will help you build out and configure the website. So we can help you set up the member types and the questions and the look and feel of the website and the home page and the first 5 custom pages and a bunch of modules and the calendar and all of those sort of things. And the 960 includes the 150, by the way. If you go down and look at the Starter Pack Plus, it includes everything in the Starter Pack, but we'll build the first 10 pages instead of just 5. And there's also 2 hours of training that will be included in that. So these setup packs, it's entirely up to you. If you have a group of volunteers who have time and who are pretty tech savvy, comfortable with a website builder, then you probably don't need a setup pack. And again, we provide the full support. If you're a little bit concerned about time and resources and how comfortable people are learning the platform, then your local league might want to purchase one of the packs. Now, the monthly hosting fee is 10 cents per member per month with a minimum of $24. So what that basically means is if you're a local league and you have fewer than 240 members, you'll pay $24. If you're a state organization, you're not paying for the people who belong to the local leagues. Our principle is that somebody is in the database, they get paid for only once. So the local league will pay for the people who are attached to the local league. At the state organization, you're only paying for the people who are actually in the state database, not virtually. And if there's more than 240 of those, then it would be 10 cents. And the credit card processing fees are passed through. Now that includes website hosting, all of the modules, whether you use them or not, unlimited pages, documents, photos, videos, traffic, and blast emails. And as I mentioned earlier, unlimited toll-free support for admins and members. A quick note about security and privacy and ownership. ClubExpress is hosted at a commercial data center with very high security and multiple servers and backups and encryption, things like that. Everything is always done in secure mode. And most importantly, the local leagues and the state organizations, you own your data at all times. We will never sell, barter, trade, or share your data. There's no advertising. And we are fully compliant with the privacy laws, specifically the California Consumer Privacy Act and the European GDPR, which is the strictest one around. Most importantly, we make it so that you'll be compliant with those laws as well. So let's talk about funds and data sharing. When the state office runs on ClubExpress and one or more of your local leagues runs on ClubExpress, those local leagues have their own website and their own database right here. So each local league has its own website and its own database. The state has its own website. It may have a database of people attached to the state, like at-large members, but it also has this virtual database of all of the databases for the local leagues that are running on ClubExpress. So there's a shared virtual database, but for these people, the state only has read-only access, as I said. There's also this contact log module, and that also works with this sharing. I told you already about events that can be shared in both directions, committees and discussion forums and blast emailing. All of those can be shared as well. And as I showed you earlier, members can log into both websites. So if Martha is a member of this local league, she can log in to this website and this website, but she can't log into any one of these. If you're a member at this level, that's the only website that you can log into. In terms of funds sharing, for the local leagues, when somebody signs up or renews their membership, the portion of their membership dues that belongs to the state, we will remit directly into a state bank account, but we'll only do that, of course, for local leagues that are running on ClubExpress. And then there's one more level above that, and that's at the national level. For local leagues, when somebody updates their information or they sign up for membership, we will also send it up to the national database, which of course is running on Salesforce and will continue to do so. And we're actually working on that integration right now. If you're at the state level, such as an at-large member, then that information also gets sent up to the national database. Now, I should make clear that this is basic member data only. And at the state level, it would be for at-large members only. We do not share non-member information. So if you have donors at the local or state level, those are not being shared. We do not share the answers to additional data questions. We do not share any information about finances or contact log entries or event registrations or anything like that. That data is owned at the local level or at the state level. The only things that are being updated in the national database is the basic contact information. But if you're a local league member, and in the past you had to maintain that information in 3 separate places, at the local level, at the state level, and using the roster website at the national level, all of that goes away. With ClubExpress, as soon as a member joins or updates their information, we are maintaining that and updating that information automatically at all levels. Okay, so this is a good time to stop. I hope that Sam and Alan and Jim have been answering many of your questions that are being posted in the chat window. But Sam, if we have any questions that you'd like to share, I'd be happy to answer those.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about our text messaging feature?
Very interesting question. Okay, I can actually show you the text messaging feature. Let's go to one of our demo sites. It's not set up, the league demo site. So I'm just going to go to one of our other demo sites right here, and I'll log in very quickly. Here I'm Martin Smith, not Martha Smith. And when I go to the control panel and communications and text messaging, it works in a very similar way to the emailing function. So I can click on the draft here, and basically the distribution lists are the same. All of those options are the same. So you get to use a saved list, or you can create a new list with all of the options that I showed you a little bit earlier. And then you specify a title, which is used here internally only. You say, when do you want to send it? And the text message And then when you click ready for delivery, we will send that message out. Now, federal law requires that you have to get permission from people to send a message to their mobile phone. So we give you a number of different ways of doing that. Here is a quick notify where you can send out a blast email to all of your members, and with one or two clicks, they can say, yes, I agree to accept text messages. Now, because we have to work through a third party to do the actual delivery of those messages, we do have to charge a fee. We charge $2 a month for the phone number that's used to send the messages, and then we charge 2 cents per message. So if you need to send a message out as a local league to 50 people, there would be a $1 charge to send that message. And those charges are accumulated because we have your bank account. Our setup fees and our monthly hosting fees and ancillary charges like text messaging are all charged directly through your bank account. And there's a full accounting that's built into the system that shows you where all of those charges come from. Sam.
Yes, so one of the questions was, do you have the ability to have members sort of track their volunteer hours?
Let me see if I go over to our Balloon Club here. Okay, here we go. So a volunteering opportunity is something like voter registration at a certain location for 2 days. And within that volunteering opportunity, you have multiple slots. So a slot represents a particular time slot, a number of people performing a specific task. So you might have people that are staffing a welcome table to explain what's involved in voting. And if you need 3 people at that table from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon, that becomes a slot. And so you define the opportunity, you then build slots within the opportunity, and I can look at the details, and we have 2 slots here. We require 4 people in each slot. We're painting. I'm not sure how that relates to summer voter registration, but there we go. And there's 1 person has volunteered, so there are 6 spots available. Somebody can volunteer. You can configure whether it can be members only or members and non-members. You can also track that people actually show up and fulfill their slot. And of course, we keep track of the complete history as well. And I believe there are reports in the module.
Dan, I believe the question was whether or not the volunteers can log their own time. I think it's only the administrators and coordinators can mark attendance.
Yes, right now there would be a coordinator assigned to the volunteering opportunity, and that person would record the attendance. If there was a big demand for volunteers to be able to record their own attendance, we could certainly add that as an option.
And can you use your own domain name?
Absolutely. So let's go back here. If I go to the League of Women Voters, the Colorado website, www.lwvcolorado.org is the actual domain name, and you can absolutely use that domain name, not only on the public side of the website, but even after members and admins log in. When you first create your account with ClubExpress, we give you a temporary name. So you can see that over here. In this case, it's lwvdemo.clubexpress.com. So that's the temporary name that you use while you're getting set up. And right before you go live, you want to turn off the old website, you point the domain to the new ClubExpress website, and that's when it takes over. Sam? Yes.
And what is the fee for non-member contacts if they sort of pass the 5 times member threshold?
The way it works is that we generally don't charge for non-members in the database as long as they're reasonably in proportion to the number of active members in the database. And reasonably in proportion means 5 times. So if your local league or state organization has 300 active members, then you can have 1,500 people in the non-member database and we won't charge a fee. Any excess over that, we will charge you 2 cents per month. So if you have another 100 people over the 1,500, we'll charge you a grand total of $2 a month for the excess. And I guess we have time for one more question.
And can you just reiterate the support options that we have available to admins and members?
Well, unlimited toll-free support. End of discussion. We expect people will make a reasonable effort to learn how something works. They'll check out the help system. They'll watch a video tutorial. But if something still doesn't make sense, you can call our support team in Chicago and they will help you through the problem. And if a member has a problem, I mentioned some of the different things that members might be concerned about. You know, the real benefit here is that you've got, you know, many of you have an all-volunteer organization that suddenly has someone who will answer the phone during normal hours to help members with fairly typical problems, logging in, registering for an event, renewing their membership, that sort of thing. First of all, I want to thank everyone that joined us this evening, and I hope we showed you something that was valuable and interesting. If you'd like to follow up, perhaps to get a demo or talk about setting up a free trial, then talk to Jim. I wanted to wish everyone a very successful convention. This is a fascinating year in so many different ways, leading up to one of the most interesting elections in many, many decades, perhaps. And the League of Women Voters will be right in the thick of it. I know everyone will do an amazing job, and we're very, very excited and privileged to be a part of your organization. So thank you and have a great evening.